Chumash Painted Caves, Santa Barbara. If you ever drive through the quiet hills above Santa Barbara, there is a moment when the road narrows, the trees close in, and everything feels older. Not just old in years, but old in memory, like the land is watching you. Hidden in these hills is a small cave with paintings so strange and powerful that people have been staring at them for hundreds of years, asking the same question: why were they made, and what were they really meant to say? This is the Chumash Painted Cave. At first glance, the cave looks simple. It is not large. It does not tower over the land like a pyramid or a giant stone circle. You could almost miss it if you did not know it was there. But once you step closer, the walls tell a very different story. Red, black, and white shapes cover the rock. Circles, lines, faces that look half human, half spirit. Patterns that feel planned, not random. And the more you stare, the more it feels like the cave is staring back. The Chumash people lived along the California coast for thousands of years. They were skilled sailors, traders, and storytellers. They knew the ocean, the stars, and the seasons in a deep way. But the painted caves were not everyday places. These were special, sacred. Many researchers believe only certain people were allowed inside, maybe shamans or spiritual leaders. This already tells us something important. These paintings were not decoration. They were messages. One of the biggest mysteries is what those messages were for. Some of the shapes clearly connect to the sun and the moon. There are round forms that look like solar symbols, and lines that may show movement across the sky. The Chumash believed the world had layers: the sky world, the middle world where humans live, and the lower world beneath the earth. The cave may have been a doorway between those worlds, a place where rituals helped keep balance in the universe. But here's where it gets strange. The cave is not random in its location. It sits in a quiet valley, facing a direction that catches certain light during specific times of year. When the sun moves across the sky, shadows change inside the cave. Some researchers believe the paintings were meant to interact with light, almost like a moving story. Imagine standing there centuries ago, watching sunlight touch certain symbols while chants echoed off the rock walls. That is not art for art's sake. That is something else. Another mystery is the level of planning. The pigments used in the cave were not easy to make. Red came from minerals, white from natural clay, black from charcoal or other materials. These had to be gathered, prepared, and mixed just right. This took time and knowledge, and yet no one knows exactly how the Chumash decided which symbols went where. There are no written records. The meaning was passed down through spoken stories, and many of those stories were lost after European contact. Some symbols look almost modern, geometric shapes that could pass as abstract art today. This has led some people to make wild claims, like ancient visitors from other lands, or even the stars. While there is no proof of that, it does raise a fair question. How did a culture so long ago create imagery that still feels powerful now? That emotional pull is part of the mystery. The cave also connects to a larger pattern. The Chumash did not paint just one cave. There are other painted sites across Southern California, many now damaged or hidden. This suggests a network of sacred places, each playing a role in ceremonies tied to seasons, hunting, healing, or cosmic events. The painted cave may have been one key part of that larger spiritual map. When Europeans arrived, everything changed fast. Diseases, forced relocation, and mission life shattered much of Chumash culture. Sacred places were ignored, damaged, or turned into tourist stops. The meaning of the cave became quieter. The voices that once explained it were gone. And that silence is part of the mystery too. What do we lose when knowledge is not written down? Over time, the cave suffered. People touched the walls. Some scratched names into the rock. Others tried to enhance the colors with water or chalk, not knowing they were causing damage. By the early 1900s, the paintings were fading. That's when the state stepped in. A protective metal gate was placed in front of the cave. It upset some people, but without it, the art would likely be gone by now. Today, you cannot walk into the cave freely. It stands outside the gate and look in. That distance changes the experience. On one hand, it protects the paintings.
On the other, it feels like a barrier between us and the past. You can see the symbols, but you cannot feel the space the way the Chumash once did. No firelight, no chanting, just silence and a fence. There are positives to the site today.
It is preserved. It is respected more than it once was. Signs explain its importance. The land around it is quiet and still beautiful. Many visitors leave with a sense of awe, even from behind the gate. The cave still has power. That has not faded. But there are negatives too. The paintings are fragile. Weather slowly wears them down. Heat, moisture, and time are always working against the rock. The cave is also disconnected from daily Chumash life.
While descendants still live in the region and work to protect their heritage, the site itself can feel frozen, like a museum piece rather than a living place. Another issue is misunderstanding. Some visitors want easy answers. They want the symbols explained in a few simple words, but that is not how this place works. The mystery is the point. The cave was never meant to give everything away. It was meant to be felt, not solved. My opinion? The Chumash painted cave is one of the most honest ancient mysteries in California. It does not shout. It does not try to impress. It waits. And that waiting is powerful.
In a world where everything is explained, tagged, and shared, this cave keeps its secrets. That feels rare. Right now, the present situation of the Chumash painted cave is a mix of protection and distance. It still stands in the hills above Santa Barbara, guarded by a gate, visited quietly by those who seek it out. The paintings remain, faded, but alive. The mystery remains too. And maybe that is exactly how it should be. Pyramid Lake near Lassen Volcanic National Park. There are places that feel strange the moment you arrive, even before you know their story. Pyramid Lake near Lassen Volcanic National Park is one of those places. The air feels still. The water looks calm, but not friendly, and the land around it feels like it is keeping a secret it does not want to share. This is not a loud mystery. It is a quiet one, and those are usually the most disturbing. At first, Pyramid Lake does not look dramatic. It is not huge. It is not crowded. There are no big signs telling you something important happened here. But once you notice the shape of the rocks rising from the water, your mind starts asking questions. One rock formation, in particular, looks like a pyramid. Sharp edges, clear angles. It looks out of place, like it does not belong to normal nature. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. Local Native American tribes have known this lake for a very long time. Long before maps, before roads, before national parks. To them, this was not just a lake, it was a powerful place. Some stories say it was a place of creation. Others say it was a place to avoid unless you knew what you were doing. Water, in many native traditions, is not only life, it is also memory. And this lake feels heavy with memory. The biggest mystery starts with the pyramid-shaped rocks themselves. Scientists say they are natural, formed by erosion and volcanic activity. And yes, this area is full of volcanoes. Lassen Peak is nearby, and the land has been shaped by fire and pressure for thousands of years. But here is the problem. The shapes feel too clean, too sharp, too intentional. People who visit often say the same thing. It doesn't look random. That has led to theories. Some believe the rocks are part of an ancient structure, now mostly hidden or broken down by time. Others think the lake level was once much lower and more of these formations were visible, possibly forming a complex or ceremonial site. There is no hard proof, no walls, no tools. But the feeling remains, and feelings like this don't come from nowhere. There are also stories about what lies under the water. Local legends talk about stone shapes beneath the surface, seen when the water is calm or when the light hits just right. Some fishermen have claimed their lines caught on something solid that did not feel like a rock. Over the years, divers have talked about strange shadows and sudden drops where the lake floor should be smooth. Then there are the disappearances. Not many, and not dramatic enough to make headlines, but enough to be remembered. People getting lost near the lake, equipment found with no owner nearby, a feeling of being watched. Again, nothing proven, but mystery places rarely offer proof. They offer patterns. The area around Pyramid Lake is also geologically unstable. Small earthquakes happen. Steam vents and hot springs exist nearby. The ground is alive here. Some people think the ancient people understood this better than we do. They may have chosen this place because it was powerful, because it sat on a line of energy, or because it was dangerous. Ancient cultures did not always avoid danger. Sometimes they worshipped it. Another strange part of the mystery is sound. Visitors often talk about how quiet it is. Not peaceful quiet, but empty quiet. Birds go silent. Wind drops suddenly. And then, without warning, everything comes back at once. This kind of silence messes with your head. It makes you aware of your own breathing, your own thoughts. That alone can make people feel uneasy. Some researchers believe the lake was used for rituals connected to the underworld or spirit world. Water was seen as a doorway. The pyramid shape, found in many ancient cultures around the world, often symbolize connection between earth and sky. Is it possible different cultures reached similar ideas without contact? Yes. Is it also possible there is more here than we understand? Also, yes. Of course, not everyone buys into the mystery. Many geologists say Pyramid Lake is simply a result of volcanic rock breaking down over time. They explain the shapes with math and pressure and erosion, and those explanations make sense. But here's the thing. Science explains how, not why. And this place feels like it has a why. Now, let's talk about the current condition of the site, because this matters. On the positive side, Pyramid Lake is still relatively untouched. It is not overrun by tourists. There are no hotels right on the shore. Nature is still in control here. The water is clean compared to many other lakes. Wildlife still visits. The mystery has not been paved over. The area is also protected by environmental rules. You cannot just dig or explore freely. This keeps the lake safe from damage and from people trying to prove theories in destructive ways. That protection is a good thing. But there are negatives too. Because the site is not officially recognized as historically significant in the way some places are, it does not get much attention or funding. No deep research, no serious underwater studies. The mystery stays a mystery, partly because no one wants to invest the time or money to look deeper. There is also the risk of natural damage. Volcanic activity could change the lake at any time. Earth movement could collapse formations or bury others forever. Climate change is another issue. Changes in water level could either reveal more or destroy what remains. Another negative is misinformation. Online stories sometimes go too far, turning the lake into something it is not. Aliens, lost super civilizations, wild claims with no respect for native history. That kind of noise makes it harder to talk about the real mystery in a serious way. My personal opinion, Pyramid Lake is one of those places where you don't need a final answer. The mystery itself is valuable. It reminds us that not everything has been solved, and not everything should be. Ancient people were not stupid. They chose places for reasons, and sometimes those reasons were spiritual, emotional, or symbolic in ways modern thinking struggles to understand. Right now, the present situation of Pyramid Lake is this. It still sits quietly near Lassen, surrounded by volcanic land and old stories. The pyramid-shaped rocks still rise from the water. The lake still reflects the sky in a way that feels deeper than it should. No signs explain it fully. No guide tells you what to think. And maybe that is the point. The mystery is still alive, waiting for anyone willing to stand there long enough. And the Cosumnes River, Sacramento. Most people drive past the Cosumnes River without a second thought. It doesn't roar like a famous waterfall or cut deep canyons through stone. It moves quietly through the land near Sacramento, slow and patient, like it has all the time in the world. And maybe it does, because beneath that calm surface is one of California's most forgotten, ancient mysteries, hiding in plain sight. The Cosumnes River is special for one simple reason. It is one of the last rivers in California that still flows free, without a major dam. That alone makes it different. The river still floods when it wants to. It still changes its path. It still behaves like a living thing. Ancient people noticed this long before modern science did. To them, this river was not just water. It was a provider, a boundary, and a sacred line between worlds. For thousands of years, Native American groups lived along this river, including the Plains Miwok and nearby tribes. They built villages, buried their dead, and carved symbols into stone near the water. Some of these petroglyphs are simple. Others are strange and hard to explain. Shapes that look like spirals, animals that don't quite match real ones, and human figures that seem to float instead of stand. One mystery that still bothers researchers is the burial sites. Along certain parts of the river, graves were found in unusual patterns, not random, not purely practical, bodies placed in ways that suggest ceremony. Some were buried with tools or stones that came from far away, meaning there were trade routes connected to this river long before outsiders arrived. The Cosumnes may have been part of a much larger network, stretching across California. But the real mystery is not just what was found. It's what feels missing. Elders from local tribes spoke of places along the river that were not meant to be marked, places where spirits gathered, places where ceremonies were held at certain times of the year, tied to the river's flooding and the move which contains a second, or what may matter. When those stories were interrupted by colonization, Many of those places were lost, even though the land itself remained. Some early settlers reported finding stone arrangements near the river, circles, lines pointing towards sunrise or sunset. Most were destroyed by farming before anyone studied them. That loss is part of the mystery too. We are trying to understand something that was already damaged before we knew it mattered. There are also strange reports connected to the river itself. Sudden fog rolling in on clear nights. Sounds of water moving when the river is still. People feeling watched while walking alone near certain bends. These are not things you can measure, but they show up again and again in stories from different people who never met each other. The river changes with the seasons. In winter, it spreads wide, flooding the land around it. In summer, it shrinks and reveals sandbars and old channels. Some believe these cycles were used as a natural calendar. The river told people when to plant, when to gather, and when to perform rituals. Water levels were memory. Flooding was renewal. Then came major change. When Europeans arrived, the land around the Cosumnes River was turned into farms. Gold mining upstream poisoned parts of the water. Burial grounds were disturbed. Sacred sites were plowed under. The river survived, but the culture around it was deeply wounded. And because the river was not dammed, it kept moving, slowly erasing physical traces of what once was. Today, much of the mystery lies under private land. That makes research difficult. Some petroglyphs are protected, but many are hidden or forgotten. The river does not advertise its secrets. You have to know where to look, and often you need permission you will never get. There are positives to the river's current condition. Because it is undammed, it still supports wildlife. Salmon still try to return. Wetlands along the river provide shelter for birds and animals. Conservation groups are working to protect what remains, and native communities are involved in land stewardship again, slowly reconnecting with ancestral ground. Education has improved too. Some sites now have signs that explain native history instead of ignoring it. That matters. Recognition is the first step toward respect. But there are negatives that cannot be ignored. Urban growth is pushing closer to the river every year. Pollution from nearby development threatens water quality. Looting has damaged archaeological sites. And perhaps worst of all, many people still see the river as empty land, not sacred land. Once that mindset takes hold, destruction becomes easy. The Cosumnes River mystery is not dramatic, like pyramids or lost cities. It is quiet. It is about absence, about what was taken before it could be understood. The symbols, the burial patterns, the stories of spirit places, they suggest a deep spiritual system tied closely to nature and cycles, not buildings or monuments. My opinion is this: the Cosumnes River may never give up all its answers, and that is okay. What matters more is how we treat it now. Mystery does not mean fantasy, it means respect. This river reminds us that ancient history does not always come in stone rules. Sometimes it flows. Right now, the present situation of the Cosumnes River is fragile but hopeful. The water still moves freely. Some sacred sites are protected. Others are gone forever. The mystery is still there, carried in the current, waiting for people willing to slow down, listen, and remember that history does not always sit still.